welcome back to another episode with BNI First Diamond chapter here in Prague, Czech Republic. I have Liz still with me. Welcome, Liz.
Thank you.
Amazing. Now, some of you may have seen the 1.0 episode with Liz. We are diving in deeper now, and for those people who are like, what, there was a first episode? Well, I want to get right into the nuggets of wisdom, and I don't have time to listen to that episode. But first of all, for those people, Liz, in a nutshell, can you tell us who are you, what do you do?
Hi everyone, my name is Liz Lobo. I'm a founder and CEO of Taxelent, an accounting company here in Czech Republic, in Prague.
Amazing. Now, Liz, let's dive in deeper. We talked about BNI, we talked about networking, we talked about somewhat of your company already in the first episode, but let's go now even deeper. Let's start by, who do you guys help with? What is the ideal client who would come to you and you guys would help in your day-to-day?
So we help everyone from private individuals to small-time entrepreneurs to mid-sized businesses. We don't help big businesses yet, but might be in the future. We usually work from, I would say 85% of our clients are expats. So we're very well-versed in the issues and problems of expats that they might encounter doing their accounting and taxes.
Amazing. I love that. Now, as an expat in Prague, I love that because sometimes it is a little difficult in here. Great. Now, Liz, tell us more. Why this industry? Why accounting? Why taxes? People hate taxes. Why did you get yourself in there?
It's actually not a long or any interesting story. I just always want to be an entrepreneur, and I was looking to where I can venture myself into. I have a background in hospitality. I worked in hospitality from reception all the way to general manager, and after that I decided shortly before COVID, actually, that was a blessing, I would say, to change my industry. And because I had a degree in economics, I went to work in operations in the startup sphere. And I was thinking, okay, I have this experience. I also have knowledge of this and that. What can I do? And coincidentally, my mom is an accountant with 40 years of experience. So I was like, okay, I will just create her a new website. I will revamp it. I will translate it into English. Then it all turned into the whole new brand identity. And then I realized there's a demand and we can provide much more insight into that. And that's how it happened. Basically.
Amazing. I mean, yeah, you said not an interesting story, but here you go and talk about that. So, do you to this day work with your mom still? Or yes, amazing. And how you mentioned in our previous podcast, for those who didn't listen, you have a couple employees. So, how is your team looking like?
We have now, basically, my mom is our head accountant. We have two sort of more junior, but still very highly qualified accountants, and then we have two junior accountants, and now I'm hiring some other, I would say, helpful staff. However, we also have a team of freelancers that work with us on everything from marketing, branding, websites, security, you name it.
Yeah, all of it. Yeah, you name it. As a business owner, that's definitely, I can relate. How many hints do I need? Great. Now, Liz, when it comes to accounting, like, I am a complete, I do not understand anything about your business. I just give my stuff to an accountant and they do the job. But how would you describe, why would entrepreneurs need an accountant to help them with everything that they need to get done in their businesses?
Not only businesses, but private individuals also need accountants. However, businesses, it's essential for you to have an accountant. I'll explain why. Because you need to have a picture of your business. How, as you mentioned, Joseph, who was on the podcast here, who is a financial advisor for private people, you need to know what's happening with your finances. And in a business, it's detrimental that you know about your business's health. Because based on that, you can make informed decisions. And based on that, you can also grow. Sometimes people think, oh, I will grow when I will get more clients. But sometimes getting there can be also through other financial means. And you can learn about them only if you know your own, basically, financial situation, which is provided by the accounting statements and by cash flow statements and everything that we can provide for you. And the second thing is, of course, compliance. You need to comply with the Czech legal requirements, and with taxes, you need to file your taxes. And of course, you can file them yourself. But however, some people just prefer to trust someone who does it all day. And if you are, for example, an artist, you don't need to learn it. So
yeah. Or if you're any other business owner, you don't need to learn it. It's out of your area. No, I love that. That's very true. It's just delegating something that's really difficult to someone who's an industry expert, which
100%.
makes sense. Great. Now, Liz, since you are a founder in your company as well, I would like to ask the following question in two different directions. We don't do this normally, but I thought Liz is a good test subject over here. We always talk about what are the common mistakes that people do in industry where people are being interviewed. So I would like for you to answer this from two different perspectives. I would like to hear what is a mistake that you see that people commonly do, or maybe a mistake that you have done, in both sides. What do you see from your client's perspective and from a founder perspective from a company?
I will start probably with the founder perspective. As I mentioned, my mom was a freelance accountant, and she was doing it. She had a couple of clients, and I feel like it wasn't a business. Yes, of course, it was a freelancer, but a lot of people make it a business and then they just do that. They don't delegate, and that's why they never scale. So as a founder, you have to delegate as much as possible. Leave, of course, the strategic decisions, the financial decisions, the vision. It's also what I love about it is the client communication, the kind of client relationship. And everything else can be delegated or automated. That's, I feel like, is a key to success and to grow in your business. When it comes to my clients, oh, well.
Where to
I'm
start?
not talking about anyone in particular, but I think the biggest mistake is that you give your basically tax information and all of your papers to the accountant, and that's it. You don't look at it, you don't know it, you don't inform yourself of anything. It is a goal and the task of your accountant to give you the financial statements and to give you the tools to work with it. However, it's not always the case that the client wants to look at them and actually looks at them. And I think more in detail is the cash flow statement. You need to know how you are with your cash flow to make informed decisions and to be able to have a business, because I think 90%, or like an outrageous number, 86% of businesses fail because of cash flow issues.
Amazing. That's a mic drop moment right there. Great. Thank you, Liz, so much for sharing that. I would like to ask you another question that we don't normally ask in our episodes. Some of you who has listened a lot of these, you hear like, oh, Susanna, but you haven't asked most of these questions in any of the episodes. I know, I go rogue every now and then. But what I think would be very interesting to hear from you, Liz, is I have so many people every time when I tell about my business, they're like, so, but what do you actually do? So for you, what does an accountant actually do? Like, what is the day-to-day? If you would have to explain to someone who has absolutely no idea what your industry is.
So first, we start with bookkeeping. We get the invoices, receipts, and the bank statement information from the client, and then we process them, meaning that we input them into the accounting system. We see that they all are compliant. We do compliance, basically, that they're all up to the Czech regulations, that they're all correct. And then we match them with the bank records. Now I'm talking about the business, which is an LLC and SRO, basically, because it's a little bit different for someone who is on a trade license, because there are several types of accounting. I'm not going to dive into this here. It's not an accounting podcast. But basically, we match the transactions. Then we see a bigger picture. If it's a VAT payer, which usually our clients are, because you need an accountant on a monthly basis, you do the VAT reporting, and then in the end of the year, you also do profit tax reporting. For private individuals, it's income tax reporting. And we also do payroll. Basically, we calculate how much you have to pay your employees each month. We create documents for you to pay, and then after all of it is done, we kind of give you a financial statement, profit and loss statement, a cash flow statement. It depends, so you can see how your business is doing, basically. Yeah.
I love that. And that's the beauty of that question. Every time when I ask it from people, when I'm on one-to-ones or one-on-one conversations with people, I'm so often like, and here I just thought, accounting. Yeah, you're just, putting the numbers together and that's it. But then the list goes on and on and on and on and on. I love that.
I definitely forgot a lot of the things.
Yeah, and I was going to say, and there's probably 100 other things too. No, great. Now, Liz, it would be an easy answer to this question saying, hire a tax advisor or an accountant, but what would be the first step towards someone who realizes that maybe I haven't done it right in the past other than contact a tax advisor? Any tips that you could give to someone?
I mean, usually if you are a business, you already have an accountant. But how to know if your accountant is doing it good for you or not is to look at your financial statements. Ask for financial statements and then look at your financial statements. And also look at if you're just comfortable in this process, because a lot of the times we have deadlines. There are strict deadlines when it comes to taxes, and sometimes your accountant can be pushing the deadline and giving you information on the last day and not talking to you, not reciprocate, and not being proactive also in a way where like, okay, I think you're not doing this right, and this might cause problems there, or this might raise your profit, or you know what, now you have a lot of profit, maybe now's the time to think of where you want to invest this money and something like that. So I think those are just the basic things that you need to do, is think about that relationship. If you don't have a tax advisor, we are actually accountants. We're not tax advisors. We have a tax advisor that we work with. Those things are a little bit different. However, if you don't have an accountant, sometimes you don't need it. If you are, let's say, self-employed person who's not a VAT payer, but what you can do for yourself 100% is to have an Excel file where you input all of your business income and all of your business expenses and kind of see how it goes and when you get paid and how you can basically make other payments to your vendors, for example. And it depends, I feel like, case by case, but definitely just to stay informed of what is going on in your business financially is the most important one.
Amazing. That's a great tip for anyone who is not using, especially for solopreneurs. I feel like that was the one mistake I did when I started as a business owner. I didn't feel like being a business owner back then, but it really was like I wasn't looking into the numbers as much, and that Excel file is very beneficial until you scale up higher. Now, Liz, is there any new trends or innovations in your industry that maybe our listeners would be curious to hear about?
Of course, AI. AI is now in every industry, so we get a lot of automations, and now you can automate a lot of the process in accounting. It doesn't mean that it will replace accountants 100%, because first of all, the legal regulations change so rapidly, especially in Czech Republic. I'm not aware of how rapidly they change in some other countries, but in Czech Republic it changes rapidly, and you have to stay kind of informed. And also, I think the biggest part of the job of an accountant is to analyze the data, not just process the data, but also analyze the data and see, again, the compliance and also kind of the bigger picture. You have to see the bigger picture, and you have to look into the future a little bit.
Yeah.
And we see AI not only in our bigger accounting software, but in supplemental accounting software and in other processes, just everything getting more modern and more digitized, which is great. I love it.
I love that. Great. Now, Liz, we are curious. What has been the most interesting project you have worked in?
I would say my own business is the most interesting project.
Oh, great answer.
I mean, it's always because the business is a living organism. It has to evolve. Otherwise, it just kind of becomes stale and dies, I would say. So we are always evolving. We're finding new solutions, new things. You have to stay modern. So I think for me personally, this is the most interesting project because, as I mentioned, I have the head accountant. She's in charge of mostly the accounting projects. I'm in charge of the business and all of the other parts of it.
1,000 hats.
Yes, yeah, exactly. So I think that is the most interesting one, kind of to see where we can do better, where we are falling short, and how we can provide better services, and how we can stay relevant and modern.
Oh, that's a great way of putting it. Now, Liz, while people are listening to this episode and they're thinking, what would come to their mind that would alert them to talk to you? What would be something that they would realize, maybe I do need to look into my accountant, maybe I need to change an accountant, maybe I need to hire an accountant? What would be that alerting thought in their brain?
I think I can name a couple. One is, I don't know what's going on in my business financially, I need help. Second one is, I do have an accountant, but I don't think our relationship is working out. And another one would be that I just want to learn more, and maybe I'm paying a lot in taxes. What can I do to optimize it or to invest my money somehow differently? The business money, that's what I'm talking about right now. And another one would be, okay, I'm doing very good in my business, but I want to scale. Can I do this? And here we can come and play in the form of working, let's say, with someone who, like Martin from our group also, who can get you a business loan, but you need an accountant in order to see if you would qualify for a business loan and make your basically declarations presentable to the bank.
Yeah. Makes sense. And Martin will be in these episodes later on. You guys haven't met him yet, but he will be here eventually. Now, Liz, when people do listen in and are thinking, oh, that's me, how can they contact you? Where can they find you?
They can find me on our website, taxelent.cz, and on LinkedIn also.
Amazing. And we will drop those on down below, no worries at all. And at the same time, to remind all of you, if you feel like, well, I want to see these people in person or online, I want to see where are all these people coming into this podcast from, you can visit us in BNI First Diamond in Czech Republic, Prague, every Thursday morning. We will drop also the information down below so that you can see their registration, how can you visit us, and see, for example, myself and Liz there every single Thursday. Now, Liz, thank you so much for joining us in the podcast and sharing your wisdom nuggets and sharing your industry knowledge. We love learning and hearing from all the experts, so thank you so much for being here.
I'm happy to be here. Thank you, Susanna.
Amazing. And for all of you guys, we will see you on the next episode.